little mystic walking down the road, selling spirit with words quite bold. He said, you're the place where the divine dwells, and it's all in the knowing, gonna set you free. Such it, and I'm not gonna set you free. Such it, and I'm not gonna set you free. She pointed to the north, south, east and west, spun around in circles, said, be my guest. She said, you're the place where the divine dwells, and it's all in the knowing, gonna set you free. Such it, and I'm not gonna set you free. Such it, and I'm not gonna set you free. Such it, and I'm not gonna set you free. Such it, and I'm not gonna set you free. I know sweet ease as I'm living, and I know I receive as I'm giving. Ooh, it fits like a glove, and it sure does feel like love. I know I'm kind as I'm living, and I know I receive as I'm giving. Ooh, it fits like a glove, and it sure does feel like love. Such it, and I'm not gonna set you free. Such it, and I'm not gonna set you free. Such it, and I'm not gonna set you free. Such it, and I'm not gonna set you free. I know pure joy as I'm living, and I know I receive as I'm giving. Ooh, it fits like a glove, and it sure does feel like love. Such it, and I'm not gonna set you free. Such it, and I'm not, you're all set. Now is the moment that never ends. Now is the moment that never ends. Now.
Welcome to Hilltop Spiritual Center's Sunday celebration. I am Practitioner Craig Lozzi. And know with me right here, right now, everywhere, always is that divine presence. God is love, acceptance, inclusion, truth, justice, unity, harmony, peace. God gives the breath of life to every creature. Every life matters. Every life is sacred, vital and necessary, so God may know itself through the myriad of expressions of this world. Know with me too that this service ignites in each of us a greater understanding and embodiment of the vision we hold and create of a world that works for everyone. And so it is. Today's reading is from the 15th century poet, mystic, and saint Kabir, entitled, Are You Looking for Me? Are you looking for me? I am in the next seat. My shoulder is against yours. You will not find me in the stupas, not in Indian shrine rooms, nor in synagogues, nor in cathedrals, not in masses nor kirtans, not in legs winding around your own neck, nor in eating nothing but vegetables. When you really look for me, you will see me instantly. You will find me in the tiniest house of time. Kabir says, "Student, tell me, what is God?" He is the breath inside the breath. Today's meditation is an exploration of the breath. Find a place outside or near an open window where you can sit comfortably or even lie down. Begin by placing both hands over your heart and feel the beating and the rhythm of your own heart in your chest. Take a breath in, and for as long as you can, hold it in, so that when you finally exhale and take in a new breath, you'll feel a heightened appreciation for the gift of one singular breath. Inhale, slow, easy, deep, full. Exhale through the mouth, sigh, letting go. Inhale through the nose, receiving the gift of the breath from life. Exhaling, giving back to life your breath. Inhale, slow, easy, deep, full. Exhale, relax, release, lighten, let go. Inhale the fullness of life, a blessing freely given. Exhale with gratitude, freely giving back. Remember this gift of the breath throughout the day, and place your hand over your heart to feel your heart beating with the pulsation of the universe in serenity, in peace, and in joy. And so it is.
Hello, and welcome to the Hilltop Spiritual Center. Whoever you are, wherever you are, and here in this virtual experience that we're all in, whenever you are so welcome here. So our theme this month is being a contemplative in the world, seeing God in everybody, yes, everybody, and all things. So today what I'd like to talk about is a practice. Actually, toward the end of the talk, I'd like to offer an exercise to do to help us sort of develop that contemplative skill. But I want to comment right now on that song, In the Know by Spirit Hill. Actually, it was written by Vicki, Alves, and it's like a jingle that I just can't get out of my head. It's been sort of the soundtrack all week. Sat, Chit, Ananda, 3 Sanskrit words. Sat, truth, wisdom. Chit, consciousness, awareness, beingness. Ananda, bliss. Sat, Chit, Ananda, wisdom, beingness, bliss. And so that's our endeavor. You know, we sing the song, and then we integrate it in. And it is my intention today to share with you a practice of how we kind of get there. And it's a way of seeing things, to see God in everyone, in everything. It's a practice, and if my mind is off leash, it's kind of a hard thing to do. And to be a contemplative in the world, to have that sense of balance, that tightrope walking of being connected to all that is, and at the same time engaged and active, being both engaged and transcendent, to be a contemplative in the world. And when we are a contemplative in the world, then we can see the divine in all things. And that's what I want to talk about. And I want to talk about how that's a different mindset than the one we're used to. And I'd like to start with a story or a riddle, if you may, on how that is. So what I'd like you to imagine that you have a couple friends over and you're in the kitchen, or maybe you've just walked into the kitchen and you notice that the kettle's boiling. And so you ask the question, why is the kettle boiling? And someone says, maybe the more scientific one says, the kettle's boiling because when heat begins to accelerate the movement of oxygen and hydrogen, they begin to generate this sort of experience that begins to happen, and gas is let off and it begins to boil. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Someone else says, well, the kettle's boiling because I turned it on. Yeah, that's true too. And someone else says, the kettle's boiling because I'm making tea. So who's wrong? Who's right? It's a different way of looking at things. The quantum physicist Niels Bohr has this wonderful statement where he says, the opposite of a fact is a fallacy, but the opposite of a profound truth may very well be another profound truth. The opposite of a fact is a fallacy, but the opposite of a profound truth may very well be another profound truth. So in that, I'd like you to kind of sit with this statement. And it's a statement that is found in essentially all mystical traditions, but we probably know it best coming from the Judeo-Christian, which says this, that you, and everyone you know, and everyone that's ever been born, and everyone who will ever be born, you are made in the image and likeness of God. How can that be? Sometimes it's easy for us to see that about ourselves, and sometimes we can look at other people and say, yeah, God is present there. And other times we look at others and say, God is present there. The Hindu saint Ramakrishna has this story. He says that a woman came up to him and she says, I don't love God. I can't see God. And Ramakrishna said, well, who do you love? And she says, oh, my grandson. I can see God in my grandson. And he goes, there's God. So in the consciousness of love, in the consciousness of seeing everything interconnected to everything else, it's easy to do that. But for some of us, it's a haul, right? It's a training. It's a practice. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today, because, I remember when I was a kid, and maybe you do too, that, I was deeply connected to the spiritual world. I may not have called it that, but I was deeply connected to magic. And weren't you too? Wasn't your imagination just rich in what you could perceive and see in this world and through the veil of this world? And who you connected with and how you connected? Oh, the places we could go. And then something began to happen. Our mind began to be conditioned to think in a certain way, right? We began to see things from up or down, or right or wrong, or in or out. What we call dualistic thinking. It's this or that's that. And it has a purpose. Dualism has a purpose. If you drive a car, is it left or is it right? Is it upward? Is it forward or is it backward? It's a good thing. But what happens is we get anchored into that and we think it's the only way to see or the only way to think. And as a result of that, something begins to happen to us. When we get locked into the trance of dualistic thinking, what happens to us is something that is talked about in the mythological language of nearly every tradition. We have this sense of being in exile or cut off or far, far from home, and maybe even a sense of amnesia. We sort of forget who we truly are. Because isn't that true when we're feeling in exile? And what we're wanting is to belong. And what we will do to belong. We'll seek the approval of others in actions and in words. We may participate in things that kind of are incongruent to the nature of who we are, because we're wanting so desperately to be accepted. We're wanting so much to be approved. Or we have this sense that there's something wrong with us. That was true for me, and some of you know me, you've heard me tell this story because it's made such a big impact on my mind, and it bought my therapist his car. But it was this, when I was in first grade, good old Sister Aquinas with my mother in a conversation as if I wasn't even there, saying, well, Guy is a very bright boy, but he's lazy. So it wouldn't be until years later that I would discover I wasn't lazy. I learned differently. I processed differently. Our school system is set up as sort of a one-size-fits-all. It's sort of a standardized way of learning, or it was when I was a kid. And if you didn't fit into that, then you were lazy or something was wrong with you. And my teacher believed that and behaved that way. My family believed that, and I came to believe it too. And gosh, I would work like a dog against this belief that said, you're lazy, you're not doing enough, you could do more if you would just apply yourself. It was a burden. It was a prison to be in, and it wasn't even true. And I think that's the result sometimes of getting stuck in a certain way of thinking of how it applies to us, or how it applies to others, or how we think this is the way that it is. And again, if we go back to literature and writings and poetry, art, we can see these motifs there, right? Like the earth is a prison. Think of the movie The Matrix, right? Isn't that what it's all about? That actually is pure Gnosticism. And Gnosticism has that belief that this is an imperfect world, that it's broken and it's a prison. Or maybe we're a little bit more new agey and we think, this is Earth School. Well, for me, school is like a prison, so that's a terrible metaphor. But what if it's something different? What if it's not about having to learn something or find the key to get out or whatever, or bide our time? What if it's something else? What if being made in the image and likeness of the divine, that we are given an opportunity to co-create with this divine presence, this presence of love and creativity, that we're invited to participate in an unfinished universe that's still evolving. And, that begins to help of how we look at things. Because, if we're stuck in a way of looking at things of this is how it is, or it's not that way, or it's this, it doesn't fit, what, this, that. But maybe it's just like, yeah, I can be made in the image and likeness of the divine, but I'm not finished. If I think about my life of where I was from my earliest memories to who I am now, it's a completely different story. I'm in many, certainly physically, mentally, a completely different person. I'm watching our little dog Nikolai right now. He's got a friend, a little puppy named Lucy. She's 3 months old. Nikolai is about 4, and I remember getting him. Man, he could sit in the palm of my hand, and now he's a 75-pound dog. He's a good sized guy, and how he changed and developed and how he acts and what he does. And I'm watching little Lucy, and I'm thinking, you're 3 months old, and I'll bet in about 2 years. You're going to be as big, or if not bigger than him. Or just think about, other kids that we've seen, or even, how it is. Think of a baby, so tiny, and we can look at this and say, boy, in 20 years, in 40 years, 60 years, 80 years, how different you will be. The same thing with an oak tree. We could look at an acorn and think, you are going to be one of the greatest and strongest trees that there are. There's a mystical axiom that says that the nature of anything is itself fully expressed. So the nature of who you are is who you are fully expressed in the full career of who you've come to be. That's the nature of who you are. The nature of a lion is a lion being in the full career, or a tree, or anything. The nature of truth is what it fully becomes. There's this line from St. Augustine that I love where he says, truth is like a lion. It needs no defense. Just set it free and it will take care of itself, right? It will find its full expression of what it is. And it's true for us as well. The nature of who you are is who you are fully expressed. And so then the real question begins not to look at ourselves as static, or to look at anything as static. Not you, not the people you know, not the earth, not the solar system, not the galaxy, not even the universe itself, but that everything is unfolding, evolving, becoming, moving towards. William Blake, the great English poet and mystic, says that when we clear the doors of perception, how we see things, when the doors of perception are cleared, we shall see all things as they are. We shall see all things as divine. Because isn't that the full expression of anything and everybody and all that is? Isn't that what it means as a universe that is moving towards a sense of completion? Isn't that what it means that your life is evolving towards the full expression? It's moving towards its divinity. It's hardwired in everything because everything comes from the divine itself. Thomas Berry, who was a student of Pierre Teilhard, philosopher and ecologist, he says this, he says, we cannot tell the story of anything without telling the story of everything, because everything is interconnected to everything else. And so when we look at any one thing, maybe we practice by looking at that one thing as part of everything. Sat Chit Ananda. And I love that poem from Craig, from the poet Kabir, that he read so beautifully this morning, which is, are you looking for me, says God? Are you looking for me? And where do we look? We look in churches and cathedrals and synagogues and mosques. We look at the people around us, we look in nature. But then he suggests that we are in the breath, inside the breath. That's where we find it. The breath inside the breath. So the first thing in being a contemplative in the world is to look inward. Because then when we look inward, the door of perception is cleared so we can look outward. Many centuries ago, Patanjali, who was a great writer in the yogic tradition, wrote something called the Yoga Sutras. And he says this as he defines yoga. He says, yoga is the suppression of the oscillations of the mental substance. Yoga is the practice of cooling the oscillations of the mind, slowing it down, dialing it back so we can begin to see a little bit. It truly is what contemplation is all about. Contemplation, which is that sense of observing fixedly, to be present, to be fully present. Goethe talks about it this way. It's that laser focus on a thing. Sat, Chit, Ananda. And that what comes from that are the gifts of contemplation, is that it literally begins to change our life. If you are a practicer of meditation, you know that already. And to take that as the real transformative power. In his book, Meditations on the Tarot by Valentin Tomberg, he talks about the magician. The magician is the first of the characters, the archetypes of the tarot. And if one looks at that, one sees that the magician is truly in the experience of contemplation at the purest sense. And he says that the gift of that, the activity, the power of contemplation is this. It's contemplation without effort. It's transforming work into play. It's making every yoke that we have accepted as easy and every burden that we are carrying light. It's a different way of perceiving, and as it's a different way of perceiving, then it's a different way of experiencing. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to teach you a practice. And I learned this practice from one of my spiritual heroes, James Finley. Practice it with me now, and practice it with me during the week. And it's as simple as this. Place your hands in a position of prayer and bow your head. T.G. Suzuki said that sometimes the best thing to do is to let go, and we can let go by bowing our head. And repeat these words after me. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still. Be. We relax the oscillation of the mind. We are present to the moment. We clear the door of perception, and we see all things as they are, divine. Many blessings. Thank you again for being part of our Sunday celebration. I want to specifically thank Spirit Hill, Vicki Alves, who wrote the song, and I think Paul sang the lead, and they all participated in that. Also, Alice Wallace is going to sing a lovely song about gratitude. It really kind of puts the bow on our experience today, and I want to thank her so much for her generosity in sharing this. Craig did a beautiful job with the poetry and the meditation and the prayer. And we have Michelle, who works so diligently as our executive director, making sure that everything is working, and Diana, that keeps us in great integrity, and Andrea Matros, who is doing the newsletter weekly. You know, there's all kinds of people, the board that supports us. There's all these people that are just doing so much. But I want you to know a couple things. I want you to know, first of all, we are doing it because we love it. It's a yoke that is easy. It is a burden. It is light, because it's all given in love. So the practitioners would love to pray with you, and there is a prayer request on the website and in the newsletter if you fill that out, or also their contact information is there. You can make contact with any of the practitioners, be happy to pray with you. Co-operators are standing by, you know. And there's also at our website, at our YouTube channel, and our Facebook, there is a whole toolbox of guided meditations and music videos and poetry and yoga classes, and there's more and more stuff that we're getting ready to unfold. So please pay attention. Visit our website, sign up for our newsletter, and help us out by liking us on Facebook. You know, getting watch parties together, get your friends, send the video, like us on YouTube. You know, we want to get this out more and more, and just generate it, because it's a worthy endeavor. And all of it happens because of your generosity. All of it happens because of your generosity. You know, if you've been out of sight, not of mind, you know, write us a check. For you who are continual in your support, we are so grateful for you. We are so grateful for you. And these are interesting times, they're uncertain times. You know, we're not sure when we're going to be able to open. We're not sure when we will be returning to a version of brick and mortar, you know, but we are committed to keeping this going even beyond then. And all of it happens because we're all collaborating together, because we're all in this together, because we are interdependent on each other. We are a virtual spiritual community. We are a physical spiritual community. We are a center of God consciousness in the divine whole. And we're there because we're all doing it together. So thank you. And so to those whom you love and receive love from, and for you, for your gift, many, many, many blessings. I look forward to seeing you next week. Namaste.
I lost my way down that long dark road. I lost my way, but a light brought me home. And only I could see where it came, and heard the faint call of my name. I felt the pain of losing it all. I felt the pain before I felt the fall. My body weak, but my mind so strong. I learned to walk again on my own. Standing on a mountain with my arms held high, stretched to the heavens, soaking up the sky. The beauty of a moment that doesn't pass you by. Well, I will cherish every moment till I die. This pain's still there, but each day I wait and send thanks somewhere. If I should stop being grateful for this, then let me give my life to someone else. Standing on a mountain cherish every moment till I die. I will cherish every moment till I die.